This day in sports history. This episode is brought to you by Sterling Roastery. For several months you've heard me talking about the great products and scents offered by the Sterling Soap Company. And while there may not seem to be any correlation between soap and coffee, what is similar is the same care and attention to detail in delivering great products to their customers. Sterling Roastery will ship great-tasting beans or ground coffee, for whatever coffee-making process you prefer, right to your door. I gave their breakfast blend a try recently, and I can tell you, it was a great way to get my day kick-started with this smooth, medium blend. And just like their soaps, they have a variety to choose from. Give Sterling Roastery a try at sterlingsoap.com. And welcome back to another edition of This Day in Sports History. I'm your host, Steve White. And hey, do you like audiobooks? I've got a new true crime book coming out in a few days. It's called Caged Killer, written by Ryan Green. I've done a lot of work with Ryan over the past few years, so there's a good number available already. Just search for Ryan Green and the full library should pop up. Also, if sci-fi is more your thing, check out a series I did with Brian Gates called Project Renaissance. Those are all available on Audible. All right, on to today's episode. It's August 5th, and on this day in 1984, Joan Benoit won the first women's Olympic marathon. So I talked about this a little bit on the August 2nd edition of This Dish, when women ran track in the Olympics for the first time in 1928. The erroneous reports about women collapsing during the 800-meter run led to women being restricted to distances of 200 meters or less until 1960, when the 800 was reinstated. The women were not allowed to run the 1,500-meter, and that's a little less than a mile, until 1972. So even though the marathon had been one of the original events since the modern Olympics were developed back in 1896, there was not a women's version until the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. 50 women representing 28 countries started the race. The weather in LA on this day started in the lower 60s, but it jumped to the mid-80s during the race, which is a bit warm for a race of this distance. American Joan Benoit entered the Olympics as a two-time winner of the Boston Marathon, which she won in 79 and 83. At the 3-mile mark, Benoit made a bold move, picked up the pace, and nobody matched her. She put some distance between her and the rest of the field, and Benoit was a little surprised that nobody actually tried to go with her. Norway's Grete Waitz had never lost a marathon in her career, but she hung back. So Benoit kept on going it alone. The fact that she was even in the race is one of those amazing things, though. Back at the qualifier in May, Benoit not only won that race, but she did it just 17 days after having arthroscopic knee surgery. Most people are still struggling to walk without a limp at that point after surgery, and she was rocking 26.2 miles. Now, back to this day, Benoit stayed out front for the rest of the race, winning by a minute 26 seconds over Waitz for a time of 2 hours, 24 minutes, 52 seconds. But the other thing people remember about this race happened about 20 minutes later when Gabriele Andersen Scheiss from Switzerland entered the stadium. She was in obvious distress, and she was walking with a severe lean to the left. She was pumping her right arm, but she couldn't walk a straight line. She said afterward that her brain was working just fine. She knew where she was, but she just couldn't will her legs to run. She lamented missing the final water station, but whether that would have had a profound effect, it's kind of hard to say. She managed to put one foot in front of the other and staggered around the track to the finish line to finish 37th out of 44 that finished that day. Sticking with the Olympics, on this day in 2012, it was the mesmerizing Usain Bolt winning the 100-meter event. Not much could slow Bolt down, not even a bottle thrown from a fan in the stands intended for Usain but landed in Tyson Gay's lane instead. The spectator that threw the bottle was dealt with swiftly by the bronze medal winner in judo, who just happened to be at the track and sitting right next to the bottle thrower. A judo chop to the head neutralized the guy, and he was arrested and then hauled away. When the gun sounded to start the race, Bolt was a little slow out of the blocks, running in third, but at the 50-meter mark, he turned on the jets and cruised to the gold medal by 0.12 of a second. Bolt was just the second man to defend his 100-meter gold in Olympics competition, joining Carl Lewis. His time of 9.63 seconds set the Olympic record that still stands, but it came up a little shy of his own world record of 9.58 that he set back in 2009. Making another smooth transition to another land speed record set on this day, in 1963, a race car driver / innovator / part crazy man named Craig Breedlove took the rocket-powered car that he'd built to the legendary Bonneville Salt Flats and expanded the boundaries of what was truly possible. Breedlove was a 26-year-old daredevil set on pushing past any engineering limitations to power a car to faster and faster speeds. Breedlove's car, you know what? That doesn't really do a vehicle with a rocket propulsion system justice, does it? Breedlove was driving, a rocket with wheels, 3 wheels to be exact. It was dubbed the Spirit of America, built around a General Electric J47 turbojet engine. It took him $250,000 to build it, test it, and then get it ready for his attempt on this day. Over an 11-mile stretch of the Salt Flats, Breedlove managed to get the car, rocket mobile to 407 miles per hour, setting a new land speed record. He would go on to make adjustments and improvements over the years and set the record twice more with the Spirit of America, finally getting it up to 526 miles per hour in 1965. And from that first to this first, on this day in 1967, it was the first time an AFL team played an NFL team. It was an exhibition game between the AFL's Denver Broncos and the NFL's Detroit Lions. The merger had been announced a year earlier, but would not come fully under one umbrella for another 4 years. However, one of the terms of the merger created a championship game between the two leagues that became the Super Bowl. But this was not that, obviously. This was just two teams getting ready for the upcoming regular season. But since this was the first time teams from the two opposing leagues had played each other, there were some bragging rights on the line, and those went to the Broncos and the AFL, who beat the Lions 13-7. The NFL owners thought the AFL was an inferior league, and Detroit was a little overconfident coming into this game. Lions defensive tackle Alex Karras said if they lost to Denver, they would walk back to the Motor City. I'm guessing he didn't follow through with that, though. And now to another first on this day in 1921. It was the first radio broadcast of a baseball game. Pittsburgh's KDKA covered the game with Harold Arlen reporting on the action at Forbes Field in a game between the hometown Pirates and interstate rival Philadelphia Phillies. It was a real humdinger of a ball game as the old Pittsburgh Nine showed those Phillies who's boss. Things were all square in the bottom of the 8th inning when our hometown boys managed 3 runs on some real wing-ding hitting. The crowd left all smiles as the Pirates beat those dastardly Phillies 8-5. Sorry about that. And we roll right into what Pittsburgh Pirate... Man, this episode is fitting together like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. Snug and tight. Anyway. What Pittsburgh Pirate Willie Stargell did on this night in 1968. Pittsburgh was in the middle of a West Coast swing and playing in Los Angeles. Well, just realized we came full circle. Nice. Stargell came to the plate in the 7th with the game tied at 3. He proceeded to untie it with a monster shot. The ball traveled 506 feet 6 inches, becoming the longest hit home run in the history of Dodger Stadium. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. Despite the fact that the Great London Fire of 1666 ravaged the city for 4 days, destroyed more than 13,000 houses, and displaced 80,000 people, the official death toll is only 6. Now, if true, that would be amazing. But many historians dispute that number and believe it to be much higher, possibly into the hundreds, considering the fact that there were not a lot of records kept on middle and lower classes of people back in those days. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.